Welcome to the Endless Loop, where the technology journey is endless, the loop never breaks, and innovation never stops. Today, we are going to demonstrate the first video in setting up a real Kubernetes 4-node cluster. This video is the first of many upcoming videos dedicated to demonstrating various solutions in the Kubernetes distributed environment. Now, there are several tools out there that installs a Kubernetes environment on your machine, such as a Kind cluster, a Minikube, and MicroKH, just to name a few. Those are all good testing tools, and they make installing a Kubernetes cluster locally pretty easy. Those sorts of tools, however, more so simulate a cluster. What we want to do instead is build with technologies as close to what you'd experience in a real enterprise server environment from a deep level perspective. Therefore, we are going to build out as close to a real enterprise server environment as we reasonably can from an experimental perspective. By building out real servers and learning to set up Kubernetes clusters on them, you gain experience in dealing with concepts like actual network interfaces, routing, DNS resolution, storage and persistence, and also understanding host level security hardening. This experience prepares you for enterprise level management of Kubernetes environments and subsequently to do very well on notable Kubernetes exams such as the CKA, which is a Certified Kubernetes Administrator, and the CKS, which is a Certified Kubernetes Security Specialist exams. Through hands-on experience and formal assessment, I have achieved both the CKA and the CKS certifications. To build out our testing environment, we're going to use a combination of following software and hardware. We're going to use VirtualBox for our virtual machines. We're going to use either 1 or 2 terabyte external hard drives, or 1 or 2 terabyte external hard drive singular, and as well as an Ubuntu server operating system 22.04. So that's what we'll be using for our operating system. Now, to set up a Kubernetes cluster, you will need to first set up a server environment. So in this video, we will install VirtualBox and create 4 virtual machines that we will use as our Kubernetes cluster. Now, this is a Linux channel, so for the most part, every technology demonstration will be done on a Linux machine. Now, on my local machine, I'm running Linux Mint. So let's take a look at that here. All right, this is the command you run on a few Debian systems. This is again Linux Mint. This command also works on the Ubuntu system as well. So this is Linux Mint version 22.2. All right, so I'm running Linux Mint, and I already have VirtualBox installed on my machine. All right, so this is going to be the VirtualBox user interface. All right, and so what you would do is you would visit this link, and I'm going to have these links in the description of this video. And so you visit this VirtualBox link, and according to your distribution, you're just going to follow these install instructions. So I'm not going to go again directly over this because I already have VirtualBox installed, but I'm running VirtualBox version 7.1. All right, and these are for the Linux Mint environment. These are the installation instructions for that. All right, so again, you will follow the installation instructions according to your Linux distribution. Okay, and then after you get VirtualBox successfully installed on your system, then the next thing you're going to want to do is visit the Ubuntu website, and you want to select the operating system that you want to install on the virtual machine. All right, so again, this link is also going to be in the description, and so you can go to this particular link, and again, we're going to use Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. All right, and so this particular link, you go ahead and just download the actual Ubuntu server ISO, and I already have that on my system as well. So let's take a look at that. All right. So those are the two things that you need to do up front. Again, VirtualBox, install that, and then visit the Ubuntu website and install the Ubuntu, download the Ubuntu Server ISO. Again, for this particular demonstration, you want to download version 22.04 LTS. Now, to store the virtual machines, what I'm using for my external hard drive is the Toshiba Canvio Ready external drive. All right, so let's take a look at that. Of course, you know, anyone can use any external hard drive of your choice. So this is the one that I'm using. So let's see here, type that in. And so, yeah, this is it here. I have a 1 terabyte hard drive for this particular demonstration. You can use any hard drive of your choice again. Just make sure that it has lots of space. I recommend a 1 to 2 terabyte drive because you'll want enough space to comfortably build, test, and iterate on infrastructure since that's a core part of this channel's content. So again, this is what I'm using, Toshiba Canvio Ready. And so that's that. All right, so now, okay, so now that, all right, so we have VirtualBox installed, we have our Ubuntu operating system ISO, and we have the Canvio, well, I have the Toshiba Canvio external hard drive already connected to my Linux Mint machine. All right, so it's a USB drive, so it's already there. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so this is a command here, Linux command to take a look at the different mounted drives, or one of a couple of commands. All right, and so as you see, this is it here, dev sdb. This is where I have it mounted. This, when you first mount the drive, it's actually going to automatically give it like a temporary storage location. So I removed that and I replaced it with my own storage location. So I created this here, and so then I mounted the drive to this particular folder there. All right, so now we have that ready to go. So now what we can do is we can begin building our virtual machine on the let's see here. Begin building the virtual machine with Oracle VirtualBox. All right, so again, this is it here. All right, and so let's go ahead, hit new. Okay, all right, and so let's call this Kubernetes master. All right, so again, we're going to build a 4-node cluster and so 4 virtual machines. All right, and so then you want to change this location to the actual location where you have, let's see here. Yes, where you have the, again, this is where I have my storage for the virtual machines. All right, so you want to change this to wherever you want to store the virtual machines on your system. All right, and so this is automatically detecting where I have my Ubuntu ISO here. But in case it doesn't detect it, you just hit other here and then select your ISO. All right. And then I want to go ahead and I want to you want to skip unattended installation because we have some specific configurations for our virtual machine. All right. So we want to go ahead and do that now here. All right. So this is the base memory. All right. So just depending on how much memory you have on your machine. All right, so you want to configure this according to how much memory that you have, and same thing with the processor. So these are the machine's compute resources. All right, so I'm going to set mine to, again, 4096 megabytes and 3 CPUs. All right, and so just quickly, if we take a look at my machine, all right, so as you see, 32 core CPU. Yeah, so cores per socket, 16. So, I have a pretty powerful machine. All right. And so my memory is, so yes, this is what I have for memory. All right. So about a total of about 62, anywhere between 62, 65 gigs of actual memory. I know that's somewhat expensive, but this is pretty much how I built my machine. And you actually, my recommendation is to try to max out on memory on your machine. That way, of course, you won't run out of compute resources as you experiment with many different infrastructure applications and server builds. All right, so just getting this back up. Okay. All right, so getting back to this. Let's move this back. All right. So next. Okay. Again, I have this on the external hard drive. And so I'm going to bump this up to about 60 gigs. All right. And so that's the amount of storage space on the drive. I mean, we can afford that. Okay, now, all right, so let's take another look at our settings. All right, so click here, settings. All right, so we have the memory set. We have the processor set. All right, so this is just another view into it, the column on the left. All right, and so let's take a look at, so this is this display. We don't have to worry about that here. All right, so you have storage. All right, so here you have, this is the most important part of this particular column. All right, well, this is the most important part of this particular section in this particular column. So it's gonna read the ISO. All right, so you want that under controller IDE. All right, and if that's not automatically selected, you can go here, attributes, and then choose a file, and then select it there. All right. And so when you start the operating system, it's going to read from this particular ISO location. All right. All right. So next, go to audio. All right. Nothing we really need to do here. And then you have network. Now, for the actual network. All right. So what you want to choose is you want to choose NAT network. OK, and so when you choose NAT network, when you're first setting this up, you're probably not going to have anything here. In fact, you're not going to have anything here under the NAT network name. That's because you never set up a NAT network. So what is the NAT network? So basically what we're doing is we're setting up a Kubernetes cluster to be kind of like its own network environment within our own local network environment. All right, so it's kind of like its own separate network environment within our local network environment. And you could set it up. This option here gives you a number of different network options. I mean, you could set up each machine as part of your local network. And for that, you would choose bridged adapter. And then each machine is pretty much going to share the same configurations as your local machine, your personal machine shares with your router. Okay, but yeah, we're going to choose our own NAT network. Because actually this way, by choosing this and having that separate network attached to your local network via a bridge, you can actually carry around your cluster with you, as opposed to if you choose this, then bridge network, then that means that the machine is always going to be looking for a network configuration directly from your router, which means you'll only be able to take your lab environment. You'll only be able to test your lab environment in your office. So you want your lab environment to be portable. Maybe you don't feel like working in the office. You may want to go to the library. So So you want to choose NAT network. All right, but again, it's not going to have anything here, so you need to set that up first. All right, so where do you go to set that up? All right, so we're going to discard changes and look at where we'll go to set that up. All right, so first you want to go to File, you want to go to Tools, then you want to go to Network Manager. All right, and so this is going to pull up when you go to Network Manager, you go to NAT Networks. All right, so as you see, I already have something here, but you're not going to have anything here, of course. All right, so then you want to hit Create Network. All right, so I'm going to remove this. This is NAT Network 1, so I'm going to remove that. I don't need it. All right, but you create that. It's going to create a NAT network for you. All right, you can change the name to whatever you want. All right, and then you're going to give that NAT network kind of like a IP address range. Okay, so I'm going to use for my NAT network, which again is its own separate network for our 4-node cluster. All right, so I'm going to give it a 10.0.2 network address. All right, so this is going to be a Class C network. All right, so 10.0.2.0 base 24 Class C network. All right. And so from this network, then our machines, our machines will pull, it's their IP addresses. And so actually, let me expand upon that a little bit. So basically, by choosing this NAT network, there's going to be it's going to have its own DHCP. All right. So when you install the operating system and the operating system looks to configure its own network, it's going to pull its IP address from this. Basically, you can call it kind of like a virtual DHCP, which is going to be a dedicated DHCP. It's going to be a dedicated DHCP for your separate NAT network. All right, so we don't have to do anything with that here, at least on my machine. But this is what you're going to do. Again, create is going to create it here. All right, and then give it a name. Then just choose an IP range. You can just follow this demonstration. Just choose this particular IP range. All right. So now, all right. So let's go back to settings. All right. Let's go back to the network. Let's change this over to NAT network. It's going to choose my NAT network. All right. All right. And serial ports, don't need to do anything with this. USB, don't need to do anything with this. All right, so I believe we're pretty much done with our configurations. Everything looks to be good. You go ahead and click OK. All right, and so now you can go ahead and power on the machine. Okay. So now this is the installation process for the Ubuntu server. Okay. And so the server is loading, or the installation process is loading. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and go through the installation process. Again, this is Ubuntu 22.04 LTS server. All right. So click on that. I always, continue without updating. All right. So you want to do that. All right. So choose the base for the installation. It's going to be Ubuntu server. All right. You want the full server. That's what you want. So click done. Okay. And so here, as you see, it shows an IP address within that range, 10.0.2.10. Okay. And so we'll talk about this later. But right now it's choosing a DHCP. It's choosing an IP address based on DHCP. We're going to change that. We actually want a static IP address. So that's essentially what you want for servers. All right, and so done. Okay, and you just skip past this part. Done. You don't need to worry about any mirror checks. Done. All right, so use entire disk. All right, so it automatically gives the option to set up the disk as a logical volume. You want to keep that. You don't want to encrypt it. All right, and yeah, click done. Okay, now, all right, here. All right, so by default it configures logical volume space on your actual machine. All right, and so we want, as you see here, this is the volume group, but it only allocated about a fraction of what you have available. So 29 gigs basically is what it allocated to your logical volume. And this right here, you see where it says mounted at that's the mounted at forward slash. That's going to be your root path for your system. You want to give that more space. I'm gonna go ahead and give that more space. All right, I want to use all of it. So when you request to use all of it, it's actually going to it's going to cap you at a particular size, because it needs to have space for the boot partition and other components that it needs to be able to load the operating system upon boot. All right, so I set it to 60. You see it gave it 57.9 gigs, which is fine. All right, so hit save. All right, so then hit done. Do you want to continue? Yes. All right, so thanks. All right, so I want my server's name to be called Kubernetes Master. All right, then you choose your password. All right, upgrade to Ubuntu Pro. We don't need to do that for now, so that's skip. All right, and then you always want to install the OpenSSH server. We don't need to import any keys. All right, and so done. All right, and so now this is going to go through the installation process again of setting up our server, our operating system based on what we've configured it, based on what those configurations were. So this is going to go through that process, and we're going to go ahead and just wait as it goes through this particular process. Now, all right, so it looks like the initial steps for the installation process have been complete. All right, and so it's giving us the option to go ahead and reboot. All right, so let's go ahead and reboot. Okay, so this is normal. All right, and so all you do is just hit enter. Okay, and the system is loading. All right, and all right, and so there you have it. So let's go ahead and just test the login process. So okay, all right, and so I mean, the output looks a little bit convoluted, congested, a lot of output. This is just the system booting, and then printing to std out. So you can just clear that. All right, and so there you have it. All right, and so This is the again just the our first node. All right, and so what we're going to do is go ahead and do some slight configurations of this particular node before we move on to basically rinsing and repeating this process for the next 3 nodes. Now, for the configurations that we will need to make for our server to continue to prepare the bootstrapping of the server for the Kubernetes installation. So there's a few things that basically we'll need to go ahead and do here. All right. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to add our user to the sudoers file. All right. And this is going to be so we can run the sudo command as our normal user and not have to enter a password every single time. All right. Then after that, we're going to perform an update because we just installed the operating system. All right. So this is a fresh installation. And of course, since the release of Ubuntu 22.04, there's been lots of updates to it. So you definitely want to make sure that your operating system is updated with the latest security updates. All right. Then also what we want to do is we want to disable Cloud-Init. This is like a service. As we saw during the installation, the operating system installation process, lots of the network configuration was enabled kind of like by default. So there's some default settings here, and that's managed by Cloud-Init. We want to disable Cloud-Init. We don't need Cloud-Init to manage our networking for the actual node itself. All right. So after that, then we want to switch from DHCP to a static IP address. Then complete the installation of Open vSwitch components. The Open vSwitch components. This is just another underlying service that the operating system uses in order to manage network traffic in virtualized environments. All right, and then after that, then we want to go ahead and just restart the network configuration, and then we'll perform a reboot, just for testing, right? So. All right, and that's that, right? So a little bit more than a few things. All right, so yeah, so let's go ahead and start that. All right, so basically, all right, so let's go ahead and switch to a root user now. Okay, all right, so this is the command. This is the command that you would run to get your user added to the sudoers file without passwordless user, that is, right? So what you do is inside the sudoers D directory, the sudoers.d directory. All right, so that's where you want to make your configurations. All right, so just echo this out to that. All right, so the whatever username here, and you want to name the file your username. So Banks is my username. Banks is going to be the file name. Hit enter. All right, so that's that. So then you can hit exit, and then next time you run sudo, you shouldn't have to use the password. Excuse me. So that's that. All right. So now. Then the next thing on our list is update our system and reboot. All right, so let's go ahead and perform this sudo app update for my system. Again, depending on your distribution, all right, that's going to be the package management process is going to be different. All right, so if you're using Rail, it'll be DNF. That's what you use. So actually, I didn't mention the steps. So after updating, you're going to update the different the repository list, but then you have to perform the actual upgrade. So sudo app upgrade. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade everything. All right. So this is going to go ahead and perform the upgrade, and we'll just watch as it does it. Okay. All right. And so it's come to this particular point here, which services should be restarted. The appropriate services that need to be restarted are already going to be highlighted by default. As you see, there's an asterisk by the mandatory services that need to be started. All right. So just go ahead, just hit OK to that. It's going to continue. Okay. And so now what I like to do is, after performing an update, upgrading all the system packages to the latest update. So I like to go ahead and just go ahead and reboot. I mean, I could just go ahead and finish this process here. But, it's just good practice. Just go ahead and reboot the system, I mean. Okay. All right. So we're here. And as you see, output again. So just hit enter there. Let's go ahead and log in. All right. Okay, so that's that. All right, so our operating system is now up to date with the latest updates. All right, so the next thing we want to do is go ahead and disable Cloud-Init as the default network manager. Okay, so I already have a kind of like a prepare command for that. So here's where you would need to go to do that. All right, so I'm just going to switch to the root user. All right, so the Cloud-Init files are going to be here. All right, in this directory. All right, so this is where we are right now. All right, and so let's go ahead. You'll see that as a common practice when it comes to like any new configurations or custom configurations that you need to make to existing packages. Most of them are going to be made in whatever that package, whatever that software name is, .d. Just a kind of Linux syntactic sugar, so to speak. So, all right, okay. All right, and we want to echo this out to a file. G. Okay, echo out there. Okay, so yes, that's the file. That's the file that we're looking for. Non-disabled. Yes, that's the file. Okay. All right, and just to double check that again, cat non-disable network config disabled. Okay. All right, so that's that. Let's get back to our regular user. Okay. Okay, and now next we want to switch from DHCP to a static IP. All right, so there's a couple of ways to do this. The way that I'm just going to demonstrate here is, using the net plan directory and configuration. So, all right, so if you look at this, all right, so since it actually says it right here, it says is that changes to it will not persist across instant reboot. You have to disable Cloud-Init's network configuration capabilities, which is exactly what we just did. So in order to use NetPlan, you have to disable Cloud-Init. All right, so we're going to use NetPlan to establish a static IP address. All right. Okay, and one moment. All right. So we are going to copy this to all right, so we're going to set up a new file based on the previous file, and then move this, create a dot, change that to a .back file. All right. Okay, so now, what do we need to configure here? Okay, so what we need to configure here is our static IP address. And to do that, all right, first in this file, we are going to set DHCP to false, right? Okay, so that's set to false. Okay, then next we have to add some additional configurations. All right, so the address of, actually, let's go ahead and make sure that we have the correct address. If I remember correctly, it's 0.2.10 base 24. All right, and let's go ahead and make sure that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Okay. All right, so getting back to that. Okay, so then name servers for this. This is going to be kind of like an array, like structure as well. Just another way of doing that. All right, so your name servers, we'll just choose Google's name server. All right, so you can have that. All right, then let's see here. Let's see. All right, and this is my own personal ISP, internet service provider. This is theirs. All right. And all right, so next we want to set up our gateway. All right. And so a second. Okay. So what's our gateway address? All right. So if you go back to here, when you set up the NAT network, actually, we did not discuss the actual gateway. Okay, so how do you figure that out? All right. Let's see. How can we figure that out? All right. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, we could install net tools. All right, so this is actually going to be an older way of doing this. There's a more current way, but let's do this because I'm trying to figure this out on the fly. And there's another way again of figuring out the gateway. didn't have this prepared, so I'm actually thinking about like, okay, how to quickly figure this one out. And more than likely, the gateway address is going to be 10.0.2.2. That's a guesstimation. Okay, and so, all right, now let's try this. Allow, what is it? Route. Is that it? No, it's actually 10.0.2.1. All right, that's it right there. That's our gateway address. All right, so that's what you want to tell this file here. All right, this is your default gateway. Okay. All right, so let's check this again. So the ACP false. All right, that's good. Address, this is good. That address is name servers. Okay. All right, and all right, we'll leave that there. I won't clear it. All right, and so after we have done that, and so I mentioned about the open vSwitch components. All right, so I'll just go ahead and pull this link up here. All right, and so to install open vSwitch, it's really just one particular service of open vSwitch. I'm gonna put this link in the description. All right. So it's really this is the service. I do not know why Ubuntu 22.04 LTS server does not come with this installed. Maybe someone can actually leave an explanation of that in the comments. So anyhow, so why are we doing this? Because the net plan won't work without this installed. That's why. All right, so can't copy that actually directly to this, so I'll just go ahead and let's go ahead update, do exactly what it's saying. Install open vSwitch. Let's go ahead and install it. Okay, all right, and now that we have that installed, all right, what we should be able to do is actually run netplan apply. Now, if our configuration is correct, then this should work without error, but if it's not, it'll spit out the error. All right, and we do have an error. All right, so there's an indentation issue. All right, that's, the life of working with YAML files. All right, now let's see what it says now. Still an indentation issue. Okay. Unexpected mapping, check indentation. Let's try this again. Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see here. Name server. So this also has an indentation issue. Okay, so let's see what we have. That shouldn't be the case, but let's do this. Let's see if this is the right configuration for this. There it is. Okay, that's what it is. All right, so I'm going to leave that there for a quick second so you guys can look at this file, look at the indentation. All right, you know, I just pulled this up. Let's share this link. Let's see here. Let's share this link. So all of these links, I'm going to go ahead and I'm definitely going to share them in the description. You know, as engineers, we already know documentation is all over the place on the internet. So, all right. And all right, so net plan apply. All right, let's see if it worked. Yes, I'm showing everything is still there. Let's do just check that gateway configuration. Okay, yeah, I can still ping google.com. All right. And so what else do I have here? So restart the network configuration and then perform reboot for testing. All right. So again, you know, I always like to reboot to make sure everything comes up successfully upon boot time. So let's go ahead and perform that. Okay, let's log in again. Okay, looks like everything is there. Okay, okay. All right, so these are the configurations. So you guys can take a screenshot of that. I'll just call this node configuration steps. All right, so this is what we did. Okay, and again, I'm going to add these links in the description so you guys can follow along. Okay, and so everything that we just did, we're going to rinse and repeat this for the next 3 nodes. All right, so each node, again, is going to have its own operating system. All right, we're going to configure a real Kubernetes cluster. And so, yes, that's the next step in the process to go ahead and do this for the next several nodes. Now, if you followed those steps that we performed for the first node, if you followed those steps for the next 3 server nodes, then this is what it should look like, or your user interface for VirtualBox should look somewhat similar to this, where you have the Kubernetes master and then you also have 3 worker nodes. And to the right here, you see that these are the 3 worker nodes. So you have your Kubernetes master, you have the worker node, worker 1, worker 2, and worker 3. Okay, so this is what that should look like. Now there's another important step actually that we have to do. And so this wasn't documented in the list of things that we needed to do to basically kind of provision the nodes. but this is definitely an important step. Now, here's the thing about these nodes. If you remember the VirtualBox configuration process where we set the network setting, right? We set it to network address translation, NAT network. So, and as mentioned before, what this does is that this sets up kind of like a separate network, a separate subnet that we established, the 10.0.2.0 range. So it sets that up kind of like behind the IP address of your host machine, right? And so what that essentially does is that in order for the machine to actually perform some of the updates that we did when we ran commands such as a sudo app update, and it has to reach out to the appropriate repositories in order to update the system. The thing is, it can reach out to the public, but we can't get to it. So, for example, if we try to SSH into, let's just say, if you tried to SSH into one of the nodes, let's just say the master node here, right? So let's just try to do that. IP address show. All right, and that's 10.0.2.10. So if you try to SSH into that, nothing, right? The request hangs. Okay, and that's because we cannot reach the actual virtual machines from our host machine, from our main host machine locally. So the machine can reach out, but we cannot reach into the machine, at least not yet. All right, so in order to do that, and of course that's important to do, right? So, we don't always want to have to use the console, to SSH into, or we don't always want to have to use the console in order to configure what we need to configure in the host machine itself. You want to be able to SSH into it, from your own local terminal. It just makes development easier. All right, and so in order to set that up, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a thing called port forwarding through VirtualBox. All right, so in order to set that up, the first thing we would need to do is we need to power off the machines. All right, so let's do that. Let's shut each machine down. Okay, and we're going to shut this down as well. All right. All right, so all machines are powered off. Okay, and now we're going to configure port forwarding. All right, and so we will go back to File, Tools, Network Manager, and right back to this user interface here where we set up the NAT network and gave it an IP address range, and you see this tab here called port forwarding. Okay, and so as you see, I have some things that are already kind of configured. This is actually for a different setup. Okay, so I'm going to actually, instead of touching those, actually, I'll just go ahead and set up port forwarding along with this configuration. I don't want to mess this configuration up. All right, so let's just add new. So you won't have anything here. I have some things there. All right. And so you click on this here. So add a new port forwarding rule. All right. We're just going to, so rule 1. All right. Call this node master. All right. Okay. And so the protocol is going to be TCP protocol. Now the host IP is going to be your local host because you want to forward the request through your local host. All right. And so you want to establish a port on your local host that you're going to forward the request to tunnel the request through. All right. So my machine, I'm going to start with this is what I do. I'll do 2301. All right. And so the guest IP, and that's actually what I should have done actually before I shut these machines down. So let's restart these. Okay, so loading up, and to speed things up, even though we don't want to necessarily do this, I'm going to see if I can guess what these other IP addresses are. I believe I should be able to do that. Yes, okay. All right, so I believe the DHCP server for each node, it incremented the IP address. So 10.0.2.10 was the first, 11 was the second, 12 was the third, and 13 was the fourth. All right, so yeah, that's good. We can do that. So started off with 10.0.2.10. All right, so I can shut this back down. Okay, so now that that's shut down, let's go back to Network Manager, Node Master. All right, so the guest IP for the master is 10.0.2.10, and the guest port is going to be the SSH port, which is of course 22. Right, so let's go back down to that. All right, and so let's go ahead and configure all of them. All right, so call this worker node 1. And again, yours should be empty if you don't have anything else configured there. I would guess that you don't have anything configured here, as this more than likely is probably your first time doing this. I would imagine most of the listeners. All right, and so yes, so apologies again. I have a bunch of things configured here. But this is what you want to pay attention to. So node master there. All right. So worker node here. All right. On 10.0.2.11, 22. Okay. And this is going to be worker node 2. 1, 3, 12. And then the last one is worker node 3. 13, 22, and then just apply. Okay. So now those are set. All right. And Now we can power on the machines. Okay. Machines are powering up. And I'm probably going to do another video as I think about it. I'm probably going to do a separate video on my host machine setup and the compute resources that I have. So I have a somewhat powerful machine. It's capable of being able to have enough space to support this type of a lab setup. And when you're really learning infrastructure security, systems engineering, and you're setting up your own lab, which I always recommend. And that's what this channel was about. It's about setting up your own lab. We're going to be doing lots of experiments on this channel within the fields of security, systems engineering. And so, you want to have a decent setup. And so I'm definitely going to do a separate video on what I have. And I mean, some of you guys, you all may have a better setup than I do. All right, so this is starting. All right, so looks like, all right, all of them are good to go. All right, now, let's do this here. All right, so I have something called tmux installed. You all may be familiar with that. So it's called the top cape master. Yeah, let's just call it master. Then node 1, node 2, node 3. Okay. All right, so up top, what we're gonna do is see if the port forwarding worked. All right, so this is the flag that you want to pass. I believe we did 2301. All right. All right, so now if you so now we have something here. Okay. Okay, it is connecting. Okay, and so there you have that. All right, so now we're in the Kubernetes master node from our local machine. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same to make sure that we can actually shell into the other ones. Try here, 2303. And 2304. Okay. Over here, this is worker 2. Over there, that's worker 1. And this is worker 3. And we're in. Okay, and so that completes that process. Now, this setup was a bit more involved than people often expect, but it's representative of what a real Kubernetes cluster requires. This channel does assume some basic to intermediate knowledge of systems administration, as what we demonstrated was some general provisioning of a Linux server. And in the future, we will explore ways to provision servers faster with using technologies like Ansible, for example. For Kubernetes, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's other quicker methods of setting up clusters, such as a Minikube or a Kind cluster for testing purposes. You can also use a cloud service that has both infrastructure and platform as a service offerings to make it a little easier. But the thing is, there's nothing better than having the skills to build, manage, and secure your own environment, because those skills carry over no matter whether you're working on-prem or in the cloud. In the next video, we'll carry out the remaining steps required to fully install and configure Kubernetes on our new 4-node cluster. Please like, subscribe, and share, and definitely feel free to leave a comment, as I'd like to hear about your thoughts and critiques. Thanks for watching.